Hey there, folks, and welcome back to Let's Play the Lurking Horror. Yes, there's an evil lurking creature, and every time you even think about it, it hurts. Um, Trilby ain't here, unless it turns out we're young Trilby playing it safe. So we, the nameless, genderless, generic adventure person, ethnically ambiguous and everything else, we're gonna have to take care of this business, folks. So, at this point, we are in an alchemy lab with some kind of mysterious elixir of life. And there's really only one thing here that would make sense to bring to life, other than playing around with the smooth stone, and that's not going to do anything. Let's put. Well, first of all, let's select my DOSBox window so I can actually type. And let's put the hand in that. When you dip the mummified hand in the liquid, the elixir begins to bubble furiously. You can't really see the hand except when a finger pokes up every so often. The hand bobs to the surface. It's odd, but it looked like one of the fingers moved. Now, this is something I had to figure out in the hint book, because I thought we were done. I thought we had brought it to life, and that whatever that would mean, it meant. But you have to put... Well, first of all, let's look at this ring. Use prepositions instead. The hand splashes the surface. Its fingers are moving. Look at ring. Okay, it's got a hyrax eating a twig. The hand is trying to crawl out of the vat. Put ring on hand. The ring fits the hand perfectly. The hand is trying to crawl out of the vat. Get hand. You grab the wriggling hand and draw it forth, newly animated from the vat. As it emerges, the elixir flows off. The hand scuttles up your arm and perches quietly on your shoulder. Now, when you try to put the ring on the hand before putting it in the elixir, the hand is like all mummified, and you can't slide the ring on. For some reason, if you just put the hand in the elixir without the ring, it starts moving around, but then you take it out of there, and I guess it stops working? I don't know, because the point was, I know what you're supposed to do with the hand, and it didn't work, and I couldn't figure out why, and I went back and checked the hint book, and I was supposed to use the brass ring and the elixir. I never really quite sorted out why it didn't work, but we've got what we need, which is we now have essentially thing. Turn off flashlight. North. Open door. And let's get out of the alchemy department. We're done here. So now at this point, it's a bit of a cheat that I know this, but we need to find that urchin. The urchin has an item we need to win the game. Up until this point, he's been a mild nuisance. He can go places and steal your items, but we need him now. So let's look at our inventory, see if there's anything we can get rid of. We are carrying a human hand perched on our shoulders, a 2-liter bottle of Coke, smooth stone, a knife, a flashlight, and a master key. The human hand wears a brass hyrax. You are wearing a pair of rubber boots and a pair of electrician's gloves. So I'm basically just walking around to places where the... here we are. Infinite corridor. Slouching nearby is an urchin. There's a large machine down the hall to the east. So let's look at the urchin. This is an urchin. He's a young teenager wearing a ski hat, running shoes, and a bulky, suspiciously bumpy, threadbare parka. He's jumpy and looks suspiciously at you. Urchin, hello. We've done this before. I don't have to say anything. I ain't done nothing. He seems very nervous about talking to you. Show urchin hand. The urchin sees the hand twitching. I heard what happens around here. I'm not getting fed to a monster. He lets loose a scream of fear and zooms away. Something drops from beneath his parka as he departs, because they're basically going around like pilfering and stealing stuff. He slows for a moment, decides not to retrieve it, and disappears into the distance. Look. There's a bolt cutter here. Get cutter. Dr. Cutter. Alright, so now, slipping and sliding on the wax. Okay, I'm wandering around to all these places we don't need to go. Going to like the Brown building and stuff. But what we actually need to do is fire axe, crowbar, and metal flask. Get all. Got the fire axe. We can't get the rest. So let's go down. I'm just trying to find a more conveniently located... oh, we enter the freezing, biting cold of the blizzard. This is go west out of the Infinite Corridor. Massachusetts Avenue. This is the main entrance to the campus buildings. Blinding snow obscures the stately Grecian columns and rounded domes to the east. You can barely make out the inscription on the pediment, which reads George Underwood Edwards, founder P. David Lebling, architect. I can't read. West across Massachusetts Avenue are other buildings, but you can't see them. East, you can't go anywhere from there. So now we're in a sub-basement. This is the sub-basement of the Aeronautical Engineering Building. A stairway leads up. A narrow crack in the northwest corner of the room opens into a larger space. And we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm trying to find the basement. Okay, I found the basement that the elevator can go down to. The lowest floor the elevator can go down to. The elevator in the computer building. Because this underground passage that I've been wandering around in while not reading is connecting several buildings. So I'm going to drop all. Fire axe, bolt cutter, human hand, 2-liter bottle of classic Coke, smooth stone, knife, flashlight, and master key. Let's get the knife. The flashlight just in case. Actually, get flashlight, Coke, and hand. So I have just those now. I'm going to go back to the metal crowbar on the flask. Get all. Drop, flask, and just the flask actually. So now we are down in the basement. I am carrying a crowbar and a human hand perched on my shoulder, 2-liter bottle of classic Coke, and a flashlight. The human hand is wearing a brass hyrax, and I'm wearing the rubber boots and the pair of electrician's gloves. And if I look, the room, it's the basement. Bare concrete walls line a wide corridor leading east and west. An elevator and call button are to the south. Stairs also lead up for the energetic. From floor to ceiling run wire channels and steam pipes. There's a metal flask, a master key, a knife, a smooth stone, a bolt cutter, and a fire axe here. These are all the items that I think could potentially still be useful in the game. Amongst other things that we've gotten rid of, I mean, long ago we fed the funny bones to the hacker, and we could have held on to those. They're like some kind of chocolate snack cake. But I left, like, for example, there's a brass plug that was blocking something that underneath it you found the suicide note from the kid who jumped. I don't think we need a brass plug. I don't think we need the empty container of floor waxing compound. Little things like that have gone missing. So the next area is actually one of the first ones I explored when I played off screen, but it's actually one of the last ones you actually need to deal with. And this is an area you will see in the text that we run across a very narrow corridor. The metal flask, bolt cutter, and fire axe are all too large to fit through. When you try to carry them with you, you can't. Which is why one of the puzzles we need to solve now is going to involve a way of opening an alternate path that goes deeper into the earth. Because guess what? The lurking horror is lurking in a lair deep under the earth. Go figure. So that's one of the last things we have to do before going in to confront the lurking horror, is opening up a different path down there that will enable us to use more of our inventory. So we get down to the sub-basement. I think if we look here, a narrow crack in the northwest corner of the room opens into a larger space. Northwest. Tomb. This is a tiny, narrow, ill-fitting room. It appears to have been the leftover space from the joining of two pre-existing buildings. It is roughly coffin-shaped. The walls are covered by decades of overlaid graffiti, but there is one which is painted in huge fluorescent letters that were apparently impossible for later artists to completely deface. On the floor is a rusty access hatch locked with a huge padlock. Look at graffiti. It reads, "The Tomb of the Unknown Tool." Use master key on padlock. Did I drop the master key? Open padlock. You'll have to use a key for that. Unlock padlock with master key. You can't see that here. Crap, I did leave the master key. See, I wasn't sure what all we would need, but I guess we need the master key. I believe we don't have to worry about that kid stealing our stuff anymore. I believe we scared him away, like, permanently. Unlock padlock with master key. The lock, though rusty and unwilling, opens, releasing the hatch. Now, the padlock continues to exist as an item, and although it should have been obvious to me that there was a reason for that, I kind of ignored it off screen. But no, you do need the padlock, so we just got it. Open hatch. Open sesame. The hatch is heavy, and its hinges are rusty, but you pull and strain, and it opens with a scream of metal. Revealed below is a rusty ladder leading down. Warm, fetid air coils up out of the hole. There is a burned-out, no, smashed, utility light set in the wall a few feet down. Save. This should be a good indication that we might need a light source down here. But apparently not, as went down. Steam tunnel. This dank and grimy tunnel is largely filled with an imperfectly insulated steam pipe. The tunnel is uncomfortably hot and damp. You have gone from the Arctic to the tropics. The concrete tunnel has odd molds and fungi growing on its walls and ceiling, and the floor is squishy. Torn clots of insulation litter the floor along the ceiling, and along the ceiling runs a thick tangle of coaxial cable. The tunnel heads east and west. A rusty metal ladder leads up. You hear, in the distance, a chittering, scratching sound. West. This dank and grimy tunnel is largely filled with an imperfectly insulated steam pipe. The tunnel is uncomfortably hot and damp. A bundle of coaxial cable runs along the ceiling, festooned with damp mold and cobwebs. The tunnel continues west. There are rats here. The rats are momentarily startled by your presence, but soon the bolder ones begin to approach. There are more rats here than you have ever seen. East. The rats follow, surging around you. The rats attack. Slimy, snarling, and hungry, they swarm over your feet, biting at your legs through the pair of rubber boots and clinging desperately to your feet. East. Steam tunnel. This dank and grimy tunnel is largely filled with an imperfectly insulated steam pipe. The tunnel is uncomfortably hot and damp. A thick bundle of coaxial cable runs east to west along the ceiling. There's a pressure release valve on the steam pipe here. The rats follow, surging around you. The troop of rats surges around you, again, scenting blood in the kill. There are rats clinging all over you, their nasty teeth biting down in a dozen places. Wait. A particularly nasty rat, wise in the ways of death, makes its way up your arm to your neck. For a moment it stares at you, its yellow eyes hungry, and then it reaches for your jugular. As you lose consciousness, or it reaches your jugular. As you use consciousness, your jugular, not your jugular. As you lose consciousness, you think for a moment that you see the rat laugh, exposing its own neck, and on its neck is a branded symbol. You have died. Your score is 65 out of possible 100. Graded on that curve. You are in the class of assistant professor. Restore. So we want to go down into the steam tunnel. In the distance, we hear a chittering, scratching sound east. The sound is louder. It sounds like small animals. Is it rats? Wait. The sounds continue. It's almost certainly rats. The rat sounds are growing louder, but you still can't see any rats. Yeah, okay, and eventually they reach you. They are to the west when you first go down, and they head east. But there is a pressure release valve on the steam pipe here. Open valve. It's too rusty. You pull and strain, but nothing happens. The sound continues. It's almost certainly rats. Open valve with crowbar. The valve, with a horrible scream of tortured metal, gives a little, and a small trickle of steam issues forth. Again. The valve screeches open. A jet spray of live steam issues from it, filling the tunnel in front of you. Wait. Time passes, time passes, time passes. Close valve. Okay. I did that wrong. You have to wait until... I just restored. You have to wait until the rats are upon you. And then you have to open it on them. The rats are glowing louder, but you still can't see any rats. A troop of rats appears out of the darkness. The rats are momentarily startled by your presence, but soon the bolder ones begin to approach. There are more rats here than you have ever seen. Open valve with crowbar. The valve screeches open. A jet spray of live stream issues from it, filling the tunnel in front of you. The rats are caught in the full force of the blast. Horrible squeals can be heard from the midst of the steam cloud, and scalded rats charge past you, all interest in anything but flight forgotten. What other number remains? Dead. Close valve. Get rat. As you take the dead rat, it moves, but then you realize that it's only lice and fleas bailing out. Look at rat. The rat appears to have been stepped on. A small trickle of blood has clotted around its mouth. Branded into its neck is a strange symbol. Look at symbol. The symbol, on close examination, appears to have been scarred into the hide of the rat. There is no hair growing on it, and although it looks like a scar tissue, the color is wrong, a sort of purplish green. The symbol looks oddly familiar. I don't think we need the dead rat, but I'll hold on to it. It is pitch black in the tunnel. When we go further east, turn on flashlight. The flashlight clicks on. Steam tunnel. The steam tunnel is narrow here, and its construction is more archaic. It's now mostly brick, although the floor is concrete. The steam pipe and coaxial cable continue along their appointed paths. The tunnel is damp and even a little muddy. East. Steam tunnel. The steam pipe and coaxial cable turns upward and disappear into the ceiling here. The tunnel itself comes to an end in a grimy, damp, and dripping triad of crumbling brick walls. The south wall looks particularly decrepit. Hit south wall. It doesn't do much but loosen a brick in the wall. Pry brick with crowbar. The wall grudgingly yields to your efforts. A brick less well mortared than its fellows pulls out of the wall. Again. Which brick do you mean? The broken brick or the new brick? New. The wall gradually yields to your effort. The brick less well mortared than its fellows drops to the floor on the other side, making a hole through the wall. You can see a rusty steel reinforcing rod in the hole. We're done here, folks. Turn off flashlight. And what we're actually going to do is we're in the basement now. And this is one of those things where I kind of had an idea of what we were supposed to be getting at, but the details were a bit sticky for me, and I did end up looking at a hint book for this. But we are trying to get to the point where we can bring all of our inventory items, not just the smaller ones, into that brick tunnel that we were at where the rats were. And if you've been paying attention to how the rooms are described, you would realize that the rats came from the west. If you move west at all, you encounter them immediately. They actually take longer to kill you because I was wearing those boots than they would have without the boots. I didn't even think about that, but the fact that I was wearing boots made a difference. They killed me faster than that before when I played off screen. But what I did is I showed you how to defeat the rats using the steam gauge. And then I went east and played around with the wall and the brick tunnel. We were able to knock a small hole through the wall so you could see a supporting beam, but you can't really get through the hole. It's just, one brick's width of hole. So what we didn't do is go back west to where those rats came from now that we've dealt with the rats. Well, if we keep going west, we're going to get to the end game. We'll be heading straight into the lair. It's not like quite over yet, but we'll definitely be making progress towards the end of the game if we go that way. So, instead, we need to make it so that we can get to that area and have access to all of our inventory. The metal flask in particular is an item that I haven't actually figured out yet. We're getting to the point of the game where I stop my off-screening. So I've gotten about this far and no farther. I am under the impression I know the bolt cutter is important, and I'm pretty sure the metal flask is important, but I don't really know what to do. I think I know what to do with the bolt cutter, actually, because I've been a little farther than you guys have seen, but I don't know what to do with the metal flask, although I'm pretty sure it's important. Actually, look in flask. You open the flask, and a cold white mist boils out. Alright, well, close flask. Actually, you could save on a different slot here. Open flask. Look in flask. Contains a cold liquid. Drink liquid. You can't drink that. Pour out liquid. Well, anyway, restore. I think the monster really likes the warm because it's down to the steam tunnels. Maybe you just have to throw the flask on it? Maybe it's like Mestor from the Twin Dilemma, and we just have to throw acid at him to win the day. At any rate, so we're down here with the elevator shaft, but we're not actually in the elevator itself. It's open door. You force the doors apart with your bare hands, barely able to hold them open. Beyond that, you see the bottom of the elevator shaft only a few feet below. The dark shaft opens like a waiting mouth. The mist dissipates. Oh, I hope I didn't wreck. Hold on, let's just to be on the safe side. I'm going to replay and not open that thing in case we let out. That mist we let out is going to somehow mean we can't win the game now because we shouldn't have opened it until we were ready to use it. Open valve. Probably need to just read the damn flask or something, but open valve with crow. I'm gonna replay through a little bit of stuff here. So, how you guys doing? Are you scared yet? Is this turn on flashback? Wow. Turn on flashlight. My mind was obviously somewhere else. It's south wall. Pry brick with crowbar. Again. New. You hear a whining noise through the hole. The whining noise in the hole stops. Interesting. Oh, turn off flashlight. Ah, wasted flashlight. I think I'm okay. I think that's safer than potentially wasting a metal flask. Look at flask. Yeah, it doesn't actually have a label to tell you what it is. Open door. You force the doors apart with your hands, barely able to hold them open. Beyond, you see the bottom of the elevator shaft, only a few feet below. In the elevator shaft, a tangle of machinery is visible. One bit of the tangle is very much like a hook. Wedge door with crowbar. The crowbar wedges nicely between the doors, holding them securely open. Down. You drop down to the floor below, which isn't all that far down. Concrete box. This small room is pretty bare and featureless. The north wall is brick, and the other three walls are concrete. The east and west walls are adorned with rails not unlike railroad rails. Rails like rails. Above you and out of reach, the shaft is blocked by something. The brick wall has a hole in it. There is a vertical reinforcing rod visible in the middle of the hole. There is a greasy length of chain coiled on the floor here. There is a new brick here. I guess we can get the brick taken. Wrap chain, because I understood the basics of what we're trying to do here and wasn't 100% sure what every text command was going to be. But we're trying to find a way that we can actually get down with all of our stuff. And what we've done is we found a weak point in the wall of the tunnel. And we've actually found a reinforcing rod down there. And we have an elevator, and we have a chain, and there was a mention of a hook. What we're going to do, folks, is try to use the elevator to pull open a hole in that wall. So we want to wrap chain around rod typhoon. You wrap the chain around the rod, but find it too thick to actually tie it. Lock chain with padlock. And that's why you need the padlock. You lock the chain with the padlock. It now forms a secure loop around the rod. Then we go get chain. Taken. Up. Put chain on hook. Get crowbar. And the door springs shut. And then we can go up the computer center. There's an assignment here. North, under the freezing street. That's not what I meant to do, actually. South, computer center. Up, second floor, north. Sitting at the terminal is a hacker whom you recognize. Hacker, help. Be patient. Hacker. Maintenance man is satanic, and rats are going to kill you. I don't know the word satanic. Alright, south. Up. Now we're at the third floor. The highest floor this elevator goes to. Press button. The down arrow begins to glow. You hear the elevator begin moving. Down. From below, you hear a tearing, rending sound, then a rumbling crash. Down. You no longer hear the elevator moving. Down. There's a metal flask, a knife, a smooth stone, a bolt cutter, and a fire axe here. Let us... We got a crowbar, a new brick, a dead rat, a master key, a human hand, 2-liter bottle of classic Coke, and a flashlight. Let's drink the Coke. It contains caffeine, blah, blah, blah. Let's drop crowbar, brick. Well, let's save. Let's drop crowbar, brick, rat, key, and Coke. All dropped. Let's get flask, cutters, and axe. Now let's look. There's a 2-liter bottle of Coke, a master key, a dead rat, a new brick, a crowbar, a knife, and a smooth stone here. Get stone. Taken. Down? Can't go that way. What? Oh, open door. Get crowbar. We need to use the... Release door. Get crowbar. Open door. Wedge. Crowbar in door. Save. Turn off flashlight. It is. Good. Turn on flashlight. Down. Concrete box. This room is bare and featureless. The north wall is brick. The other 3 concrete. Blah, 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 blah. The brick wall is an enormous hole ripped in it. North. Steam tunnel. The southern brick wall has an enormous hole ripped in it. There's a broken brick here. West. Steam tunnel. West. Steam tunnel. West. Steam tunnel. West. Steam tunnel. This dank and grimy tunnel is largely filled with an imperfectly insulated steam pipe. The tunnel is uncomfortably hot and damp. A bundle of coaxial cable runs along the ceiling, festooned with damp mold and cobwebs. The tunnel continues west. This is where the rats appear and kill you if you haven't dealt with the rats yet. West. Tunnel entrance. The tunnel continues west from here, becoming narrow, muddy, and forbidding. The walls no longer seem to be as finished as they were. The steam pipe and coaxial cable disappear into the ceiling at this point. The temperature has dropped considerably as well. West. Muddy tunnel. The tunnel you came through continues down, barely large enough to enter. It is made of a sticky, gelatinous mud that has been pushed by something into a semblance of a passage. Down. Large chamber. This is a large spot in the tunnel, just as wet and muddy as elsewhere. The walls are slimy as well. Numerous slots or indentations about 2 feet wide and a foot high open here and there. Thin, wire or rope-like growths emerge from a hole further down and enter each of the slots. There's a background noise here, almost loud enough to hear clearly. A small, furtive motion attracts your attention to the slots. So, where are we? We are in a big room, and there's all sorts of holes in the wall. There's a hole in the floor, and there's some kind of growths, like plant vines or wires or something, that are coming out of the hole in the floor and are feeding into these little smaller holes off to the sides. So, and there's a motion in the slots to the side. So look at slots. The slots are narrow burrows, apparently dug by hand out of the mud of the chamber walls. Most of the slots have a thin wire or rope heading into them. You begin to be quite certain that there is something moving inside the slot you are looking at. There is motion in the slots. In fact, there is motion in almost all of them. Down. Something is blocking the downward passage. It's moving slowly and painfully, trying to climb up. Slowly, painfully, things emerge from the slots. They are pale, thin creatures with red mouths and staring eyes. Mold grows in their hair, and wire-like streamers wrap their heads and join a bundle on the floor. You realize these are urchins. Help, urchins. They may be beyond help. Save on a different slot. Folks, when we come back, we're getting pretty close to the end of the game now. We have been messing around underground, and we seem to have come into some kind of burrowed by hand and not machine tunnel system full of street children who are connected to some kind of growths coming from even deeper, and they're pale and they stare and they've got moldy heads, and it's pretty bad scene around here, folks. It's a pretty bad scene. It's a pretty heavy score. So, hopefully we'll be able to figure out some way to help them? I don't know. Next time, folks. Next time.